Good morning, everyone. We will get started in just about a minute. Give a few people an opportunity to log in. And we say, welcome to Ask the Experts. On today, just so that you'll know, this meeting is being recorded and it will be replayed on our website at the AK Legacy Foundation as well as on our YouTube channel. So we're going to give it a second or two to give everyone a chance to log in. There are a few people that just registered, so it may take them a minute to get the link. And we won't prolong it long, but we just want to give everybody an opportunity to hear the information. And once again, welcome and thank you all for tuning in on today. All right, the time is currently 11:04. We will begin promptly in about 30 seconds and we will begin rocking and rolling. Welcome to Ask the Experts. On today, we will be learning about the game of credit. We have some credit experts that are going to come on and educate us about the game of credit. They are members or family members, should I say, of the Too Easy group. And so I'm excited to have them here with us on today. All right. Hey, can you guys, everybody is good? Everybody's comfortable. We're going to go ahead and get started with who we have currently on. I see Mr. Chuck and Mr. Ernest, and I'm sure Robert and Katina are going to dive in. We know we already know how it goes, so we're going to get started. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in on today. Act the Experts is a part of a foundation that's called the AK Legacy Foundation, where we thrive on educating our community on financial literacy and business development. And so credit, we're going to learn throughout this webcast on today, play a major part in that. And oftentimes, lack of financial literacy is what caused many of us to have not so good credit. But we know that after today, we're going to be moving forward and doing much, much, much better. So what I want to do, going to go to the next slide. I will come back and properly introduce everybody or let them introduce themselves. Just kind of give us a quick overview. Mr. Ernest, if you could tell us a little bit about your background of how you got into credit, and then we'll get started. You're muted. Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, amen. First of all, it's a pleasure being on this forum with you, and I appreciate all you've done to get this established. And the one thing I love is that you've got this all-star group of people who I admire and respect, including yourself. So again, I'm just going to get into the meat of my portion because you've got some heavy hitters on here, and I can't wait to share the stage with them, even though it's electronically. My background is I'm actually an auditor with the Department of Justice. In fact, I just celebrated my 40th year with them. And I actually have an income tax preparation business because of my background in accounting. And you can relate to that being a fellow accountant.
Yeah.
And I always say that because I just like to talk to the people on the line and let you know that I'm not saying that to impress anybody, but the press upon you that despite that discipline, I did not know about credit. The reason was quite simple. It's not taught anywhere, folks. So how can you do well at something if you're learning from people who know nothing about it? And that's a constant trend that's been going on from generation to generation to generation. And then through the grace of God, I met a man about 5 years ago who, again, led me to an organization and a company that specializes in teaching people. That's the key, like you touched on, teaching people everything from soup to nuts as to how you can get excellent credit, why it's important, but my favorite part is how to keep it. So what we have, and I'm sure it's what you're stressing here, is we're going to give our audience a lifelong education and a feeding of credit restoration and credit maintaining. And so that's how I arrived here today. And again, I just want to start with that. And then you just tell me, sister, I will follow your lead as to what you want me to delve into next, or if you want to continue with the panel. But I thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I see Mr. Chuck is on. Mr. Chuck, don't try to go anywhere. I got a couple of questions lined up just for you. And so we're going to get started. Normally, yeah, don't go anywhere. I see you. I see you there. So don't go anywhere. I got some questions. All righty. Normally, if this is your first time tuning in, there's a segment on our webcast, and it is called Mystery Question. And our panelists have no idea what the question is. And so that's one of the fun parts of it, kind of loosen it up, get everybody a little icebreaker. If you're on your lunch break, just kind of give you a way to unwind. So we're gonna start with Mr. Chuck. I have 4 questions here, and I'm gonna ask you to pick a number between 1 and 4, and that's gonna be your mystery question.
All right, 3.
You said 3?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Oh, wow, this is going to be a good one. It says, and these questions are coming from viewers across the week. I've always asked them to send us questions pertaining to the topic. And so these questions are related to credit. It says, should I pay my credit card to 0 each month?
That would be the ideal thing to do to avoid the nemesis that is in all of our lives, and that is interest. And most credit cards are, if you have excellent credit, they're starting out at a minimum of about 14%, and they go on up from there well into the 20s. So you should. That's a recommendation to avoid interest. And what we believe in the Too Easy group is when you have credit cards, they are definitely a benefit and an asset, and they could be our worst enemies as well. So we recommend, if you can't pay it all by the next billing statement, don't charge it unless it's an emergency. So, but you definitely do not want to have your balance over 30%, because that'll damage your credit. So if you have to charge, keep the balance under 30%. For example, if it's a $1,000 limit you have on the card, when that statement comes and goes and payment is due, you want to get it down where the balance is no more than $300. So there's it's a complicated, not complicated, but multi-pronged answer. It's a yes and a no, but you just have to know what you're doing with those credit cards, because they can help you as much as hurt you if it's not properly applied.
All right. Thank you for that answer, Mr. Chuck. Mr. Ernest, your turn. Yes. Between 1 and 4, but Mr. Chuck took 3. So.
Okay, I'm going to go with number 1.
All right. I figured you know, Mr. Ernest likes to be number 1. This is going to be a good question for you, because you did mention that you have some dealings with the tax industry, which means you know a little bit about the IRS rules and things of that nature. So this question says, is credit restoration legal?
Absolutely, it's legal. It's legal, and I'll tell you why. Because it is predicated upon the restoration upon 2 federal laws that a lot of people don't even know about. And that's why it's important, what you have in a national call, that there are 2 major laws, and that's the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Collections Practices Act. So that's why it's legal, because the U.S. government sanctions the fact that our credit should be reported fairly. Therefore, the restoration of it, or the correcting or improvement of it, is supported by those very two laws. So yes, it is legal, and we do it the right way, because those two laws are our two cornerstones upon everything we do. So I don't need to belabor the point. The answer is yes, and I just want to support it by those two federal laws.
All right, thank you. And I'm sure we're going to have some more questions later on that's going to come back to both of those questions. We're gonna have a segment about how to properly use credit cards, and then we're gonna also, there's another question I saw earlier that had to do with debt collectors calling, and the credit bureaus, are they government agencies? So we kind of got a few more questions that are going to come back to both of those answers. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and once our other participants, our other panelists come on, we'll come back and give them an opportunity to answer the other two mystery questions. So what I want to do for just a second is take a minute to tell you guys about why we're here. As I mentioned earlier, the AK Legacy Foundation, we thrive on educating our community and giving people an opportunity to ask questions that they normally wouldn't get a chance to ask, that would cost them money. This panel is no cost. These gentlemen did not charge anything to come on. They're here on their own in-kind time, and so we appreciate them for coming on. And the AK Legacy Foundation, we do accept donations, volunteers, to help further the mission of making sure that everyone that we come across is well educated in the area of financial literacy. Where the school system, well, we say, well, the school system failed us, but not necessarily. As parents, it is our job to educate our children. Well, we didn't get the education on credit, so we didn't educate our children, and the cycle just went and went and went. But we're here today to bring an end to that. And so go on our website, check us out, see what information we can, how we can assist you even more. And then we're just here for you. Have any questions? I'll give you all my email address toward the end. If we don't get a chance to answer everyone's question here live today, don't fret, send us an email. We'll make sure that one of these experts, if not myself, we will make sure that we get the proper answer to you. All right, Mr. Chuck, this is going to be for you. This is for the Too Easy Group. Tell us a little bit about who the Too Easy Group is and how can you serve the people that are viewing.
The Too Easy Group is a makeup of business partners who are helping people and educating people on the importance of having excellent credit. We are like-minded people, and we're basically brothers and sisters. That's how we see each other. We're very close. We're both love the Lord, serve the Lord, and just want to do the right, best thing to help people. And that's our goal, to help people. And we present and provide information there that's going to be useful, beneficial, save money, save stress, change zip codes, change lives. It is an awesome group of people. I've been involved for going on my 11th year, and the people are just, I mean, we care about each other. We've all gone through some of life's storms through this process and through the years, and we just encircle one another, put our arms around one another, hold one another's hands. So we're much more than business partners or on a crusade that we are to help people. We are family. That is the Too Easy Group, and we don't take that lightly. And if you're not like-minded with us, that's okay. There are other groups in United Credit Education Services that will do the same thing, but we take it to another level of keeping God first, doing things His way, and helping people. And we do not lower our standards or lower the things that we know are pleasing in His sight to help people.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. I met you all through Mr. Robert, whom by way of my brother-in-law, I had been doing taxes at this particular time for about 12 years. And in my while I was doing taxes, I would get clients from time to time that would need assistance with their credit, and I was doing everything manually. And my brother-in-law, he was one of the agents, and he said, "Why are you doing everything the hard way?" He said, "I want to introduce you to a group of people that I've met, and we're working. He said the company, United Credit Education Service, has already systematized what you're doing, and he said it would save you some time." So at that particular time, it was just me. I didn't have a full staff. I had a part-time secretary whom at the time was my mom. And so when I heard the word save time, I was like, hey, sign me up, let me know what's going on. And I was, by that way, I was able to meet Robert. And not only did he teach me the rules and the laws of the credit industry, he also made sure that me and my family were okay. And he made sure that we were doing things according to the law and gave us some tips, some things that saved us. And so that's how I was able to meet everyone else. We went to a conference and met this person, met that person. And so now there's like, I got a bunch of brothers. I got a couple of sisters. And so I'm just excited about the Too Easy Group. And so we're going to go ahead on. One of the things, Mr. Ernest, I want to ask you in regards to how can, the question says, how can we serve you? One of the things a lot of times people don't understand is how to use certain things that are the tools and resources. So can you give us just a little snippet of how United Credit Education Services provide the tools so that we're not just spinning our wheels trying to figure out how to do things?
Absolutely. The thing I love about it is they give you a couple of options to help yourself. And one of the things is they provide you with a very user-friendly website for yourself. And each one is customized to each respective customer. And it's very specific to your situation. And while it is user-friendly, we have a staff of people in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And I always tout them because I always say this is not a post office box company. It's brick and mortar with real people in it, wait to serve us. Our customer service is open 6 days a week. And the thing I like about it, they're there to help you. So in the event something is not crystal clear, they're there to explain it to you. I have utilized them both as a customer and as a rep. And every time, 100% of the time, I got the answer that I was looking for, and I got it that day. You might say that, what's the big deal about that? Sometimes you don't get a hold of somebody, you got to leave a message and somebody calls you back. But I received that help that day. But the thing about it is, but the website is open for you 24/7. And the services that we provide technically are there for you 24/7. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but one of the things that I'm really, really proud of, and I like to plant my flag on, is the fact that we have identity protection. And that is so important in this day and age because of the very apparatus that we're all using right now on the World Wide Web. And to know that somebody's watching my financial gate, and my credit profiles, my identity 24/7, never takes any holidays off, is just so powerful and so refreshing, and it gives me peace of mind, folks. And we talk about a lot of things. You hear me say this maybe through our conversation. The things that we provide give me peace of mind, and that's a different price for each and every one of us. But here's what I do know: it's priceless to each and every one of us, and that's what this company gives me, just in all respects.
Well, that is awesome. And so that allows us to be able to serve our clients, to give them a good quality product. And so we're going to get into a little bit more of the credit rules. I see that Miss Katina is on here. So we're just going to throw her right in the fire. We're not going to give her an opportunity to warm up because I know one thing about her, she stays ready when it comes to the game of credit. Katina, you there? She may be, unmute yourself. All right, we're gonna help her out. Let me help her. Yeah. Katina, you're unmuted. Okay, we'll come back to her.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry, I was in my car, so I'm good now. Hi.
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
So, hey, we have Mr. Chuck and Mr. Ernest have been doing such a great job, and so I'm glad there's another lady to join me on this panel.
Yay.
Yes. So earlier we did the mystery question and we saved one just for you and we saved one for Robert. So pick a number, either 2 or number 4, and I'm going to ask you a mystery question. You have no idea what it is, but
Okay, there's my brothers. Hi, guys. Okay, so you said I have to pick between 2 and 4?
Correct.
4 is my number.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. It says, do I have to buy a bunch of stuff? Well, it's a question that came in. It says, do I have to, I guess what they're saying, do I have to put a bunch of items on credit to improve my scores? Go into debt to improve my credit score?
Well, let me say this. For some people, they have a lot of things on their credit, a lot of credit cards and so forth, and that worked for them. For me, I didn't. I have probably 8 credit cards. Pretty much all of them pretty much are major credit card. Well, all major credit cards, and I'm at 849. So what I did was, there's a formula to pay, how you pay your credit cards. And I followed, and I teach that to my clients. I followed that formula to a T. And with that formula, okay, and how you fill out a lot of people don't realize how you fill out applications also determines how much credit limit you get and if you can qualify for those high-end cards. So a lot of people, when they fix their credit, they start out with secure credit cards. I never did that. Like this last time I restored my credit and I did it through the services, and then I did my own little personal stuff. My first credit card was a Navy Federal $15,000 cash rewards card. Why is that? I never got a secure card. I never started out with a $500 card because, again, it's what we teach. So no, yes and no. Some people, they have a lot of debt, and you need, let me say something. Credit is about consciousness. If you look at it as debt, okay, you'll never be successful with credit. You look at credit as an investment. Like my brother Chuck says, and Master Earner says on all the Tuesday, I call him Master Ernest now, did y'all know that? All the Tuesday calls, Master Earner, he teaches us, okay, that, and Chuck too, brother Chuck, they teach us that credit is an OPM, is other people's money. All you're doing is we teach you how to manage credit and manage your credit cards, which is an investment. So no, credit is not about debt. And yes, I mean, for some people it is. Did I have debt? That's what brought me to restore my credit, yes. But I didn't have a lot of credit cards, but I do have about 8, but they're all major credit cards. One of them is a top card by Capital One that I never knew about. And it's called the Capital One Venture. I got 60,000 points when I got that card. And so me having bad credit has always, every time I look at it, and I look at it from a perspective of I'm getting ready to be successful, my score is higher this time, and I got better cards. So no, I didn't have a lot, but some people, you do have a lot of credit cards.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Katina. Don't go anywhere. I got some more questions for you. Now, Mr. Robert, since you were the last rotten egg, we got the last mystery question saved just for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on, and we have some more questions for you. But right now, we want to ask you the mystery question: can I pay off everything on my credit and expect my score to increase immediately?
Yes, if it reports to the credit agencies. What you have to do, because all companies do not report to all credit agencies, because it is a cost for them to report your behavior. So you can call and ask, number one, what credit agency do they report to? Number two, how often do they report? Some companies report once a month, every 2 months, every 3 months, every 6 months, sometime once a year. And then you can also ask, what time of the month do they report? Do they report at the beginning? Do they report at the middle? Or do they report at the end? And the reason you need to know that is, let's say you're looking to purchase something and they report to Experian, and you know that the company that you pay this bill to report to Experian during the middle of the month. So you would know then if I'm going to go buy this item, I need to go after the middle of the month. So when my information got reported, it would improve your credit profile.
Right. But thank you, sir. So we have Mr. Robert Gould. He is the gentleman that I spoke about earlier that introduced me to all the rest of the wonderful people that are here on the call. So we're going to go ahead and move on with our next slide. Robert, we've been having fun without you.
I apologize. I could not, Candy. I was clicking on everything to try to get on. Technology, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of above my pay grade. So I apologize for being late, and it will never happen again.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. We just kind of talked about you behind your back, but that's okay. You'll have to watch the replay.
That's probably why it started raining so hard here. I thought it was Sally. It was y'all folks down in Slidell.
Yes. We thought you were on the golf course or something and forgot about it.
Raining and windy. No.
Okay, great. And that was in our favor. I pray that everyone has been safe out there. We are having inclement weather where we are, and we want to pray for our folks in California too. In Oregon, don't forget about them, those that are dealing with the wildfires, while we here in the South are dealing with the floods and the wind. All right, so let's go ahead into our next part. You guys can dive in. And one of the funniest things about all of us, we all can talk. And so what I want to make sure, but we're talking because we're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about educating our people about the game of credit, the rules. We want to make sure that everyone has the same opportunity that we were afforded to save money and to leave a legacy for our family. So we're just so passionate about it, and we kind of get to talking. So I guess I got to give ourselves a rule. We're going to keep our answers a little short so we can get through the presentation, and toward the end, we'll save it for Q&A. And I kind of got to say that without calling Robert's name out, because we all know he loves to talk. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows we have about an hour total in this podcast. So we have about an hour left. And so we want to make sure that we have good use of time and that the people get the information. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. What makes my score? Who wants to take on that? Who wants to take on that one?
I can.
Okay, what makes up our credit score? First of all, scores for FICO, which is the main credit scoring system. There are others out there some people use, but we are focusing on having people key in on their FICO score. It goes from 300 to 850. It's divided into 5 parts. You can visualize it as a pizza, a cake, a pie, and with the slices. 35% of that score is based on paying your bills on time, your history. 35%. 30% is how well are you managing the credit you have. For example, credit cards, we talked about earlier. You have a $1,000 card, you do not want that balance to go over 30% or $300. If you do, it's going to cost you some points. 300 points, dollars or less, you're going to maximize that area. That's 65 points. 15% is your credit length of time, your credit, trade lines you have, number of credit items. How long have you had credit? 2 years and beyond is ideal. Of course, 2 is better than 1, 1's better than none. That's now we're up to 80%. The final 20% is divided into 2 parts. 10% on the mix of credit, secured and unsecured. Only 2 types, and that is secured like a home or a car, and unsecured like a credit card or a store card. And the other final 10% is how often are you out there leveraging or applying for things. There's good and bad ways to do that. Apply for credit. Apply for credit doesn't hurt you in all instances. It can actually benefit you in many instances, but that's our thing, education. If you're educated on how to do these things, you will master them and you will benefit. If you're haphazardly or taking advice from people who don't know, you could be harmed. So those are that's how our credit score is made up. Do those 5 things, your score will go up. Will go up. Those 5 things.
Great job, Chuck.
Okay. Mr. Robbie.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about how, Mr. Chuck just mentioned if we do these things, if we apply these rules, then this will happen. We'll have good success. But what about those of us that have been told just pay cash for everything and I don't want no credit card? So what about that? What do you have to say for that?
Well, in today's society, you can still do that, but there's a tremendous disadvantage. And here's why, because if you pay cash for everything, then the financial companies do not have a history of how you're paying your bills. And if they don't have a history of how you're paying your bills, and you want to go into their industry, where there's a bank or a credit union or not another financial institution, and if they don't know you and they don't know how you pay your bills, then of course you might get denied, or you might have to pay higher interest rates. So all you really doing is we're just teaching you to still pay your cash, but pay your cash to your credit cards and let your credit cards do all the walking and talking for you.
All right. I want to hear more about that in a little bit. So we're going to keep it moving to make sure that we get everything covered. And then that would allow us time to kind of have some open dialogue. Credit issues. All right, Miss Katina, this is going to be your hot topic. Tell us about how can I be saved if I've already filed bankruptcy? How can we get out of this mess? Hold on, Katina, you still muted. Katina, you're
I'm
muted.
just talking. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
That's all right.
Okay, so
I can hear you now.
So wow, I get asked this question. I never filed bankruptcy, and I fixed my credit 3 times. And it's nothing against bankruptcy. It's just that I knew that because I used to be a debt collector, bankruptcy is for people that don't know what they don't know. So if you file bankruptcy, though, because I had about almost $500,000 in debt, and I went from a 432 to a 789 in less than 5 months, no bankruptcy. The first time. Now, the reason why when you file bankruptcy is not the best option, if you know someone like one of us that can help you, because everything that you file in the bankruptcy, when you file bankruptcy, it's still on your credit. For instance, when I used to be a car salesman, we had a program that was special for people, it was called the Fresh Start. And this was for people fresh out of bankruptcy to be approved for a car. Number one, it was through our secondary lenders, which guaranteed you to have at least a 24% interest rate. That's where you're going to pay for it. The car that you're going to buy, you'll pay for that at least 3 times, okay? And the car that you're going to purchase pretty much is not worth what you're buying for it. So it was a lot of negatives to that program. But of course, people, when you don't know what you don't know, they just heard Fresh Start. I came out of bankruptcy, they'll give me a car. So you're paying. So when you file bankruptcy, not only is everything that you file in the bankruptcy remain on your credit, and so you're still going to need credit repair. You're still going to need to invest in credit repair. So why do that if you know someone, number one, that can help you with the credit derogatories, which we can help with inquiries. We also can help when you have a lot of addresses on your credit. We can help with that. So, and then, we teach you about collections. So you don't need to file bankruptcy when you're dealing with us. But when people don't know and they file it and they come to me and they say, oh, but my credit is cool, and I say, oh, really? Yeah, I filed bankruptcy. But what's your credit score? Is it a 720 or higher on all 3? Well, no, I'm probably in the middle 5s, low 6s. Okay, so what's your interest rate? Do you have a car loan or whatever? And then I ask them their interest rate. Oh, well, I don't know. Well, you don't have good credit. You're paying your money out to high interest rates and you're still renting, okay? So you're walking around still with bad credit. So your bankruptcy didn't help. It stopped the collection phone calls. Maybe if you had foreclosure, it stopped the foreclosure, but you still have less than perfect credit. So bankruptcy is not always recommended. Sometimes you do have to do it, but you can be restored through the right education, which that's what we do. We educate people on having excellent credit. So we're going to give you the education and we're going to give you the results.
All right, well, thank you. Anyone can answer this question. So is there a law or a rule that says whatever happens on my credit, I have to wait 7 years before I can have a fresh start? Whoever want to answer that question?
I'll take it, Sister Candy. No, that is a myth like Cinderella and the Seven Dwarfs. That is something that's been passed down, as we like to say, from people who don't know about credit have passed that down. And that policy, unfortunately, is what keeps people shackled into the bad credit, like my business partners have all alluded to. And so there is no rule or policy. And when you don't know that and you gravitate towards that, you don't think there is any help. And all you simply do is you keep spiraling in the wrong direction. As my sister alluded to with that fresh start or something, as I like to say, remember, Jesse James can get a car at a car dealership, but you don't want his rates. So with that mindset, and that's something we just totally eliminate with the new education, and we like to get rid of what we call the stinking thinking. There's no rule, policy, or law that says anything has to be on your credit profile 7 years, 7 months, or 7 seconds.
All right, all right. So people, if you didn't know, now you know. Make sure you do your research and your own due diligence. But I trust what Mr. Ernest just said. I looked all through this book, this Fair Credit Reporting Act. I didn't find that rule. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Ernest. Robert, hey, people have, one of the questions was, do I have to talk to debt collectors? They call me all the time. Is it against the law if what should I do?
Well, first of all, there's no law that says debt has to be collected, okay? In fact, there's a law that protects you that's called the Fair Debts Collections Practices Act. So what we instruct people to do when a debt collector call you, you don't have to bore them, you don't have to lie, you don't have to change your voice. Let them run through their spiel, and a lot of times they tell you this is from a debt collector trying to collect the debt, and that this phone is being recorded for training purposes. But really, that call is being recorded to get you to try to validate that debt. So after they run through their spiel, we recommend after they talk, you just say, ma'am, sir, with all due respect, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're calling from. Send everything to me in writing. If they ask you to verify your address or your name or verify anything, do not do it. Ask them to send everything to you in writing. And once you get it, you'll get back with them and hang up. Don't let them bully you. Don't let them threaten you or nothing. And then, of course, when you get that notification in from them, if they do send it, then there's a thing called the creditor's validation letter that you can send them that can stop them from ever having to call you again. So the law that protects you is called the Fair Debts Collections Practices Act, and the creditor's validation is your kryptonite to their Superman.
All right, all right. So here's the next topic. I've been served a court notice. Who wants to take that from a debt collector, not the original creditor, but from a debt collector?
Let me just continue to piggyback off of that. Same thing. When you get a notice, whether it's from the sheriff or the marshal, when they send you that, it's just a summons. And all a summons is somebody accusing you of something, whether you did it or not. All right, once you get that summons in, all you would have to do is go to that creditor's validation letter, same thing. You would take the information from that summons, the name of the person or attorney that's accusing you of something. You would also, on that summons, there will be a civil number. You would attach that number to the creditor's validation letter, print out 3 copies. When you print out 3 copies, you'll take it down to your local courthouse and they'll stamp it. In the state of Georgia, you have to do that within 31 days, because after 31 days, if you don't answer that summons, then it's going to become a judgment. And then whatever they're asking for, then you have to, you have to pay it. But once you can answer that summons with that creditor's validation letter, when you take it to them, they'll put a stamp on it. You leave one with them because that answers the court. Then on the other 2, one you will keep for your file. The other one, you will send it to that attorney that's trying to collect that debt. We recommend you send it certified mail return receipt. So what happens is when it gets delivered, the post office is going to attach a postcard to it. They're going to get whoever at that attorney's firm or office to sign it. They're going to mail that postcard back to you. When you get that postcard back, you just attach it to your third copy that you got, and you just keep it on file. Because on down the road, if they try to pull you into court and try to get you, you can say, ma'am, sir, here's the information that I requested for them. And as you can see, they never responded back. So that creditor validation letter will help you with a debt collector, and it would help you with the debt collector that's trying to go around through the court system to get monies from you.
All right. Well, thank you for helping us out, letting us know that we do have rights as consumers. We are protected, and we do have a responsibility to do our part. So that is so very key. So there's a lot of companies out here, I won't call any names, that say, hey, we have the magic potion. If you sign up with us, we'll make all your credit issues go away and life will be happy instantly. Just pay us $99 and we'll wave the wand over that and everything will be clear. That is a myth, folks. You do have a responsibility to play a part in restoring your credit. So does anyone else want to elaborate, comment on anything that we've talked about thus far? Add anything?
I would say, Sister Candy, just piggybacking on what Brother Robert just talked about with that summons and notice area, if you have a definite court date on that summons, you must, don't say that lightly, you must show up. And if you have all that documentation, it's going to be beneficial. But it doesn't matter how much you have. If it's the wrong person, you're in the right, you don't show, it's automatic. The one that showed has a judgment against the one that did not show. And that gives them a right to start garnishing your paycheck, income taxes. And in Michigan, it's 25% of your net pay out of your check before you see a dime of it. So if you have a court date, get all those things in order, but be sure to show. You can't say, well, if I don't show, I'm not going to get paid these hours at work, etc. It's going to cost you way more than that if you don't show. So do all those things and be sure to show up on that court date. And the collection attorney, when they see you there, they're going to be shocked. I mean, they're almost going to collapse because most people don't show, and they're going to, uh-oh, what do I do now? And they'll go and try to make a deal, pull you outside of court and that, but it's just important that you show.
All right, all right. Who wants to speak about what you just said when they try to pull you out of court? I don't want to get into too much of this. We do have credit attorneys that assist us in the United Credit Education Service, so we are not attorneys. So I want to put that disclosure out there. But
Yeah.
we do have some experience. So, and someone, if Brother Chuck, if you want to finish that, or someone else want to answer, tell us what to do when we do show up and they want to pull us out of the courtroom. Why shouldn't we make a deal?
Well, they realized at that point that, uh-oh, they showed up. Now, my cover is blown and they've got some whatever. I don't even want to have the judge hear all that they have to say. So they'll pull me outside and just say, hey, you know what? That's $6,000 that you owe to ABC company. Let's see if we can't get this before the judge, and I'll settle it for $1,200. And some people say it sounds like a pretty good deal, and they'll pay and money they don't have to pay. But when you know the law, the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and you've got that validation letter, and that they have to validate that why they're even trying to get the money from you. So we'd recommend you don't have to make a deal with them. You just said, no, let's go back in court here and talk to the judge about why you didn't respond to my creditor validation letter. I don't believe that I owe you that, or that you have a right to collect that money from me. And no, just don't roll over and.
Right, and that comes from a lack of knowledge and not knowing the law. People do the research, do the work. Don't just hand out free money. If you're just looking for somebody to give $1,200 to, I suggest you look up the AK Legacy Foundation. We're taking donations so that we can help our youth, help our women in business, and help each and every person that is in our community. All right, so
Sister Candy.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sister Candy, could I just do 30 seconds on what Brother Chuck was talking about?
Yeah.
And here's why they're able to drop it from 6,000 to 1,200, because you never ever owe them. They never purchased any debt because there was none to purchase. I'm not going to rehash what my business partner said. And the reason why I know this, my business partner's been talking theory. Let me tell you a real story, because I did pay a collection company one time because I didn't know what I know today. Because since there's no debt to buy, there's no debt to collect. So their profit margin is huge because they may purchase the information, your background, like my brother said, for let's just say $50. So in that example Brother Chuck gave, yes, they can drop it to 1,200. Yeah, they can drop it to 800. They actually could drop it down to $100 and they'll double what they invested in this. So just in case our audience wants to know, well, how can they drop that and make that deal? Because like Brother Chuck said, now the cat's out the bag now. So that's why they can drop it like that, because you never ever owe them. And I want everybody to get that message.
All right, thank you, thank you. So our next segment is how to use credit cards. We do have some people that don't have credit, and they're saying, hey, what is the best way for me to establish credit? Or they had not so good credit and they just want to improve their score. So they do want to utilize the credit score. And I know earlier we spoke about not paying it off to a zero balance and making sure that we stay under the 30%. So can we get some tips on how to properly use credit cards?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the proper way to use a credit card. Use your credit card for everything. Don't use cash. If you want to buy a bag of potato chips, use your credit card. Then use the cash to pay your credit card. And here's what you would do. When you get a credit card, you go into the payment section and you just hook your checking account up to the credit card. Now, you don't set it up where it's automatic pay. The only thing you should ever set up for automatic pay might be your car insurance. Other than that, you want everybody to send you notice and you actually go in and process the payment from your checking account to your payment. So you would attach your credit card to your checking account, use the credit card throughout the week, and then at the end of the week, whatever you owe that credit card, you can move it from your checking account to the credit card. So essentially, you're still using your cash, folks, but you're using your cash to pay off the credit card. You're using a credit card to buy everything, because when you're using a credit card, you're developing a history of what you're buying and a history of how you're using that credit card. And once you start using that credit card the way the credit card companies like it, 2 or 3 months, they'll normally increase your limit.
All right, thank you for that. And I'll add a quick tip in that. When you're paying your credit card, let's say your credit card bill is due on the 20th of every month, and you owe $50, and the minimum payment says you have to have it paid. What I recommend you pay more than the minimum, but let's say you're sticking to the budget and you have to send them $50 by the 20th. Break that payment into 2 portions, maybe pay 25 on the 5th and then pay 25 on the 15th. That will also help increase your credit points with that company, and which eventually would increase the score. So consider splitting the payments and make sure that you pay them before they're due. And you also want to find out when is your reporting date. That is also very key. But most importantly, if all else fails and you can't do anything extra, make sure that you pay your credit cards on time, before time, and if you can, split your payments in half prior to the due date. All right, any other tips, anybody?
I saw there was a question from Javier earlier about having no credit, and
Okay.
Acquiring a secured credit card, one of the quickest ways to start establishing credit. Some people's credit is so bad they can't get approved for anything, or some people are so new to credit that they don't have any history and will have difficulty getting approved for a credit card. So what the Too Easy Group recommends is that through your credit union or bank, you go in and you ask for and we have one as part of our service as well through our website, a secured credit card where you secure that card with your own cash. And you can start with as little as $200-300, use it as you would any other credit card. Milk, bread, eggs at the store. When the statement comes and if you want to pay it twice a month or pay it by that due date, pay it. And that will help you establish credit. You've got a credit line, you've got a history, you've got pretty much touches all 5 of those slices on the credit pie. And you just have to start out that way. It's not one of these, hey, I'm going to hit a home run when I get to bat. We'll get on there on base with a single, walk, go to second, third. So you just do that with that secured credit card and get another one, secured credit card, and you will start having a history established of credit. And in time, you'll be able to get yourself an unsecured card valued at thousands of dollars that you have available to use OPM, other people's money.
Right. That is Robert's favorite thing. So we're going to let Robert pick up off of that other. Tell us about that OPM, Robert.
Well, folks, you can use your money, but why use your money when you can use other people's money? And again, it's just being what we like to say, just credicated. And all it is about education. You know, Ernest always said, you know, like my dad, he just said, hey, boy, just pay your bills on time. And yeah, that was good back in the day. But now you want to, once you get trained and you understand the value of the credit card, then you just want to get as many credit cards as you want and just use the credit cards, which is their money. Then at the end of the week or 2 weeks or a month, take your money and just pay off their money and watch how much money they tend to throw at you over and over and over. Because remember, folks, the banks, the credit unions, they don't make any money until they put that money out in the community. All that money just sitting in the banks and credit unions is doing them absolutely no good until they start putting it out in the community with all these fees and charges and stuff. That's how they make their money.
All right. Katina, we have a question in the chat. I'd like for you to take this if you're still available. It's in regards to, I guess, a collection letter. It says, what if you were not at the address the letter was mailed to and didn't receive the notice until about 2 years later? How do you go back once it's already been, like Mr. Chuck said, show up for court, or it's going to go on credit? What do you do if it's already there? The damage is already done. All right, Mr. Ernest, you want to take that question for me?
Actually, I'll give it a shot, but I will reach out to my business partners if I don't get it crystal clear.
All right, I got your back, Ernest P. Coltrane.
Okay, brother.
Oh, they can't penalize you. Remember now, going back to that example, remember when I told you when they call? So a debt collector's calling you and they saying, hey, Robert, you got this Sears account bill. You had 5,000, we'll let you pay 1,000. Well, ma'am, sir, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're calling from. Send it to me in mail. So let's say they had a previous address where I lived at 5 years ago. If they send that letter to that address, then that's on them. Remember, the only time they can get you through the courts is where they physically deliver it or attempt to deliver it. So let's say if a sheriff delivered it to an old family member and somebody signed for it, but they can't just get you by sending something to you in the mail. That don't work.
All right. I want to make sure that everybody gets educated. So we're going to do a Q&A session. I have some more questions here, but I want to double check in the chat. If you all are on here watching live and you have a question, now is the chance to get your question answered. Put your questions in the chat and we will do everything that we can to answer it for you. If you have a question that you don't want to put in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, you can send your question to info@aklegacyfoundation.org. It is up on the screen. Send us an email. We'll make sure that either I or one of our panelists get back with you. We want to make sure that the education is that it is shared. We will not charge you to answer your question. We are here to roll up our sleeves and to help you all. Like I said, AK Legacy Foundation, we're founded on financial literacy as well as business development. So whether in your personal or your business. And so I want to ask a business question I have here for a business owner. Her question is, how, if I have great business credit, does my personal credit matter?
And the answer is, okay, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, it's absolutely yes. And why it's so important now to have your personal credit right and tight is back in 2007, 8, around there, when the financial crisis hit, banks and financial institutions got just clobbered because of businesses going out that had great business credit. So when you go in with a business to acquire a loan, first thing they're going to know how we're going to guarantee this loan. Well, I'm going to guarantee with my business assets. Well, we need more than that. We need a personal guarantee for this loan. So that personal guarantee is your personal credit and your credit reporting numbers. And that's going to secure that loan. If the business can't pay that back personally, they're going to come after you, the individual. So if you have a business that's been established, doing well, been around for a while, and you have horrible personal credit in the 4, 5, or 6 numbers starting, chances are you will not get that business loan because they're seeing you as not responsible and a high credit risk and a high probability that they're not going to get paid that business loan back.
All right. Any questions? Put them in the chat. I'm going to pull another question. Katina she said she was on mute and could not unmute herself. So I'm going to unmute Katina. Are you there?
You just unmuted me.
All right, great. I hear you loud and clear. So do you want to add anything before I pull the next question and elaborate on anything that's been said so far?
Yes, I would love to. So one thing I wanted to comment on is about the addresses. So when the collector sent to an old address,
Katina, you're breaking up, sweetheart. Katina, if you can hear me, you kind of going.
Secondly, a lot of can you hear me or no?
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Let's see if you're clear.
Okay, I had to walk into another area. Okay, so when the collectors, a lot of times, most time, 99% of the time, because I used to be a skip tracer, they will look for an old address because you got to remember your addresses are on your credit report. Can you still hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
Okay, so
all right. We'll give you a second, Katina. We'll come back.
Can you now?
Don't go anywhere. We're gonna come back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Ernest.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Here we go. Tax lien.
Let me try.
How does the tax lien negatively affect our credit?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. We had a little background noise. Say it one more time, please.
How does a tax lien affect my credit?
Oh, okay. Well, a tax lien, once it gets reported, it can appear as a judgment on your profile. But again, we want to say this too, and this has been made crystal clear. Anything on your profile, we can help you to correct it. So if you have a tax lien, a collection, or something like that on there, it can affect your credit because it can, again, hurt your score. But it can come off because, again, remember, everything has to be proven. And that's the beautiful thing about the Fair Credit Reporting Act, is that everything has to be proven. And sometimes things can make it onto your profile, but once we challenge somebody to prove that it is associated with us or why it should be on there, then it has to come off. Because in its own strange way, folks, things have to go through a process to even go onto your credit profile, and that's usually violated by the 3 major credit reporting agencies. So first part is, initially it can hurt, but we can show you how you can get those things removed.
All right, all right. So what I want to do, let me see if Katina is in a clear area. We're gonna give Katina an opportunity to share that great information that she wanted to share with us, and then from there, I want to open the floor to you all to give any final remarks or some closing, like you know how the preachers say, any closing remarks. So we're gonna give you guys an opportunity to share some great advice with us, and then that'll we got one more topic that we have to discuss before we close out. Katina? All right, she's having a little technical difficulty, but hey, we know now, due to COVID, before I make the statement, praying for anyone that has been negatively affected by COVID. Our hearts go out to you and your family. However, during COVID, we all have learned something new. If you have not learned anything new during this season, shame on you. And I think a lot of us have now become little bitty IT techs. We are learning how to use Zoom. We're learning how to upload things on our computers, how to do PowerPoint, and everything in between. So with that being said, we should also be taking time to evaluate our credit, find out what's on our credit, get a copy of your credit report. So my last question before Katina comes back on, and before we go into our next segment, what about those apps? We won't call any of the names that kind of give us a snapshot of our credit. Are those valid, or what do you suggest we use to keep track of our credit? Anybody can take it.
Okay, I think, go ahead. I was just going to say, what they do record is a barometer of your credit activity. And as Brother Chuck, I think, and Brother Robert alluded to, there are all kinds of algorithms that the financial institutions use. So while you may pull something up on one of the sites, and your score may not be accurate, but here's what can't be refuted. Anything over a 750 is excellent. So if one of those apps is reporting 760 for you, and your bank or whatever pulls their algorithm and it says 750 or 745, you still have excellent credit. So what I tell people is, don't get caught up in the score as much as being in the good category of excellent. Like I said, I'm the baby out of the group. I have like a 770. And all my other business partners are all in the 800s, but I'm gonna get those guys because I know because of the education how to get there. But here's the good news though, I still have excellent credit. And going back to school, whether you got a 91 or a 99, it was still an A, right? So the same thing applies here. So I just tell people, just be concerned that now you're not in the 400s or the 500s or the low 600s, and don't be concerned with the specific number, if that makes sense.
Yes, makes perfect sense.
Okay.
All right, Ron, we're going to add something to that.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, what's good about those companies is the items that's on your credit report. When they give you a score, if it's not the FICO scoring system or going through a bank or a credit union or a financial institute, they just basically come up with a score based on what they're looking at. So the score could either be right, it can be 100 points too high or 100 points too low. So if anybody really wants to know their true credit score, we recommend they go to a bank or a car lot or somebody that's using the FICO scoring system.
All right. So the last segment of our show, we always end dealing with the social issues of the time, because we know that we can give everyone all the great advice on their credit, but there are still things, other responsibilities that we have, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to, and then everyone has been affected by the perception of things due to the environment that they were raised in or the things that they have seen or interacted with. So everyone's opinion is based upon how they truly feel or what they've learned or what they've encountered. So one of the things that we always like to end with before we do our closing remarks, give everyone an opportunity to say how we can get in touch with you or whatever the case may be. We always want to have a segment about let's talk about it. And right now, one of our pressing issues is, of course, everyone, we're dealing with the pandemic, the COVID-19. We have election coming up in November, and and we are dealing with the social injustice. And all of us are from different parts of the country. I'm in Louisiana. Mr. Chuck, you're in Detroit, in Michigan, right? And then Mr. Ernest is in Ohio. Mr. Robert is in Georgia. Robert likes to say he's from the great state of Georgia, but we in Louisiana here. So, and where's Miss Katina from? I keep forgetting. Where's she
Ohio,
from?
Ohio.
Okay, she's from Ohio too. So we're from all across the country. So we're all being affected by different things in different manners. But let's just kind of talk about it really quick. I'll ask a question, and if you want to answer, great. It's just to kind of give us an insight from a different perspective. What should we be doing now during COVID? I know, Mr. Ernest, I know on our Tuesday night calls, you're always telling us to make sure we don't forget to wash our hands and wear our masks. So just kind of everybody give us a little quick snippet on how we should be interacting with these subject matters, which is COVID-19, voting in November, and the social injustice that's being brought to the light.
I'll start. First of all, with this time, make sure you get your health right. Secondly, like I was talking about, if you don't have a plan B, you need to be positioning yourself for that. And mainly, folks, we need to understand how the political game works. I'm here to tell everybody, here's what I believe, and I'm going to be quick and short. Every one of us at one time, we have the Democrat philosophy, we have the Republican philosophy, and then we have an independent. Here's what I mean. When you think about the Republican philosophy, when we go out there and work and we pay our taxes, at the end of the day, we really would love to keep all our money. We would love to either have our taxes or do what we want with our taxes. That's the philosophy of the Republicans. Now, as a Democrat, we understand that some people need help, like older people, stuff like that. So a lot of us don't mind working, and if you got an elderly person that needs some help or whatever, we don't mind helping them. That's the democracy philosophy. And then as an independent, we just want to be able to have choices. And so at the end of the day, folks, that's all it really is when you look at the baseline of politics. And if I can tell anybody, if you don't do nothing, if you learn this, it's gonna improve your quality of life 1,000-fold. Just learn how to control your emotions. Learn how to control your emotions. Because if you don't control your emotions, then your emotions gonna control you. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chuck?
I would say in the political arena, well, first of all, in the social justice area, there is more awareness now placed on things that have been happening that we, as minorities, have been sounding the alarm on for years, decades, or way, way longer than most people realize. And the country is beginning to realize and have discussions about what has been happening, going back to forced servitude, lynching. I mean, you know, the injustices that have befell minorities. And there's an awareness now. And that moment we must be entirely conscious of and focus on, and not have the emotion of this country have that change by doing reckless, irresponsible kinds of things. I mean, people are noticing, hey, I mean, blacks have been treated very unfairly here, and criminal justice and housing and employment, et cetera, and people are starting to talk about it. And then as the country is now changing, there are so many mixed race marriages and families, et cetera, that it's not what it used to be, but that cannot be ruined or made less effective by having attention drawn to negative kinds of things. We can protest, we can do all those things, and that is great. But the negative element that's out there makes it bad for everyone. We've got this opportunity, and we must take advantage of it and talk to any and everybody we know who may be thinking or doing some things that are going to take away from it.
All right, and like I said, it's always good to have dialogue and discussion and to talk about the topics that affect us. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about credit restoration, about putting yourself in a position of financial security, having the things that you having access to the things that you need, so that you're not being controlled by your emotions, and that you are able. I'm telling you, when you're financially stable, you can make different decisions. It gives you options, and you're not taking what you can get, but you're deciding what you want to achieve. And it makes a difference when you're financially fit. So I strongly believe that how our financial situation is, it relates to our mental and our physical health. When you're able to say, hey, I want to get up and go walking this morning, when you have those options, it makes you feel better, mentally, but most of all, it helps you in your body. The stress level leaves. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about it. They say in our culture that we have the highest for diabetes and high blood pressure and all those things. But a lot of that stems from lack of education of how to handle our finances. You say that I need to eat better, but when I go into the grocery stores, that food costs more. Well, if I have more finances and I'm a very good steward over the finances that the Lord has blessed me with, I'm able to buy healthier, and so because I can afford it. And so that's one of the reasons why I push so much about being financially fit. You want to get your credit restored. You want to make sure that you're managing your money properly. You want to have an emergency fund saved. You want to be in a position to where you're able to make the choices that is best for you and your family, and not necessarily a choice that you have where it says, I had no other choice. I had to do what I had to do. And then it resulting in stress, resulting in high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, all those things stem from not having, well, part of it stems from not having financial stability. That is my belief. And I believe that the Lord would have us to sound the alarm, to wake everybody up. Now is the season to get restructured and to restore your credit. So that'll be my final remark on it, because the COVID-19, a lot of people are putting themselves in harm's way as far as work because they can't afford to take off. Some people are having to compromise so that they can get the basic necessities. And so I believe if we're in a better financial position, we could stay at home, we could shelter. I am afforded the opportunity to be working from home. And so that's a blessing. I know that everyone does not have that same ability. So I am so passionate about making sure that we won't be in this position again. Voting, like Mr. Chuck said, I truly believe that a lot of things that we're facing now is because we got so comfortable and we weren't paying attention to the politics, and we weren't being educated on the different parties and the things that trickle down. Every time we have an election, the tax law changes. I don't know if you guys know that. There's different things. So our vote does determine a lot of what we do on a local level. So get out and read the ballot. Don't just go in there any, mini, miny, mo. Read about it ahead of time. Educate yourself on your decision before you go to the poll. I mean, everything is on your phone now, guys. I mean, you can click a button, download an app, Google. So there's really no excuse. All right, so I'm not gonna start preaching. All right, so I want everyone to, before we get our final words from our panelists, I want everyone to come back. Next week we will have a replay of one of our August webcasts. But on the 30th, everyone is coming back. Our Women in Business organization is going to come together. Everyone that is a member of Women in Business, we're going to come and talk about our products and services. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to be doing some educational component at no cost. And it is going to be celebrating my birthday. Since I am the founder of the AK Legacy Foundation, the board figured, hey, we need to do something special. But because of pandemic, we're just going to celebrate it online, and we're going to do one of my favorite things. We're going to educate our community on financial literacy. That's what we're going to do for my birthday. I am going to pay it forward by sharing information, by educating our people for my birthday. And I'll have my Cash App available too at that time if anybody's feeling kind. All right, so I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We're going to hear some closing remarks from our guest panelists. So we'll go with Mr. Chuck first, and then we'll hear from Robert. And I think we lost Katina and Ernest. I think Mr. Ernest, I believe he was on a break. So
yeah, he had to go back to work.
Okay, I truly appreciate that. So if you're watching the replay, Mr. Ernest and Miss Katina, I truly appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedule to join me and Brother Chuck and Brother Robert. So Mr. Chuck, give us some final words, and Mr. Robert, you can follow suit, and I will see you guys next Wednesday, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central on AK Legacy Foundation. Go ahead.
All right, and thank you, Sister Candy, for this forum, this opportunity for people to find out things that they may not know that'll help change their lives. And I just want to close by saying that it doesn't matter if you're on this call or listening to this recording, if you've got if you've got no credit, if you've got horrible credit, or you've got just good enough credit where you're overpaying for things, we've been there. Brother Ernest, Brother Robert, Sister Katina, Sister Candy. We've been there. We're not talking philosophy or what we think or read or heard. We have been there. We've taken this journey. We have ascended the mountain and approaching the top with excellent credit, saving money, less stress, changing zip codes. And the God I serve, and I'm just going to lay it out there, the God I serve, if he can do it for me, he can do it for you. He's not a selfish God. He wants everyone to be blessed, but we have to make up in our minds that we want to be blessed and we want to do something about it and not sit back and wait for it to happen. We can be a spectator or we can be a participant. And we recommend that you just participate in your own livelihood and in your own future. And our company helps secure all those things. I mean, it's putting things in place to make our life secure and give us peace of mind and be able to have extra money to put in church, help with philanthropic causes, and to help family, friends, wherever it is, we'll have it to do.
Yeah, well, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Robert.
And Candy, I just want to thank you for, you coming up with this format, which is phenomenal. And I'm just going to leave it with this, folks. Remember, the only dumb question is a question you don't ask. Ignorant means you just don't know. Stupid means you know and you just don't do. And I just want to say God bless each and every one of you. And thank you, Sister Candy.
All right. Well, that concludes our show for today. The replay will be available later today. It will be available on our website at the aklegacyfoundation.org, as well as on our YouTube channel. Please go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, AK Legacy Foundation. And you can also visit our website if you would like to give a donation. And we have 3 programs that we are currently operating with, and that is the Youth Entrepreneur Success. We also have our Women in Business, where we help women from all ages, all races, establish businesses or improve their businesses. And we also have Ask the Expert, which you'll hear now. And so it gives us an opportunity to give financial resources as well as literary resources to our community. And so we say thank you in advance for your blessings. We thank you for your prayers. And you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye and blessings to you, Sister Candy, and the other Zoomers in on this call.
Thank you so much, sir.